let's go into the more, I guess you would call it nuance, but really more of the deeper root causes, because I've had people lose 50 to 75 pounds by changing nothing in regards to diet and nothing in regards to fitness. These were people that were already relatively active. These were people that already had their diet dialed in. They were mostly animal based, good quality meats, doing fine on the protein and the fats, but they had these other root cause issues. And I'd say the first place would be to go is the gut. And you and I have talked about this in other aspects, but in other podcasts too, but the gut can really be a big place where you're going to become flabby. And this is really due to the recirculation of toxins. When you have bacterial overgrowth in your gut, which is an extremely common thing, this is not rare. When you have a bacterial overgrowth, in general, that can create an elevation of what's called beta glucuronidase, which is an enzyme that's going to cause you to recirculate hormones. And so you have this personal trainer beating you up and you're not making progress. If you don't look at this marker and you don't fix the gut, you're likely not going to have many results. And the personal trainer is going to take it personal. They're going to try to hit you harder. They're going to try to kill you. And I've heard this before where women are literally dropping out of fitness classes because the instructor's just beating, beating, beating. And it's like, that's the definition of insanity. So you've got to get to these root causes. If you've got this recirculation of hormones and or toxins like mycotoxins, I don't care how hard you hit the CrossFit, you're not going to get the results that you want.
Absolutely. And also just if the fat's over that muscle, you're going to feel a little bit flabbier, even though the muscle underneath getting a little bit stronger. So, I always recommend getting your macronutrients dialed in, getting your carbohydrates in check so you're not overdoing it. Because the more carbohydrate you make, the more insulin, the more you're going to be storing your fuel as fat. And again, the more your metabolism's higher, you're more ectomorphic, you're leaner naturally, you can handle more carbohydrates, right? The goal is that we individualize things for each person because, we talk about low carb or keto. Some people don't need to do that. And some people can be keto at much higher levels of carbohydrates. Some people can be ketogenic at 100 grams to 200 grams of carbohydrate a day based on their activity and their metabolism. Some need to be like minus 20 or 30 net. So everyone's a little bit different. I think that's important. There's some individuality there. I would say the next thing is if you're a female, it's really important. Menopause can really throw women's metabolism off. If there's a low thyroid or Hashimoto's, that can really throw metabolism off. So if you're struggling, you're having a hard time, we have to look at your thyroid function, look at your T3, your thyroid levels, look at antibodies, make sure that's under control. If progesterone and estrogen is very low, especially estriol and progesterone, that can affect muscle building. Progesterone is really important for collagen and elasticity formation. It's part of the reason why lots of women get a lot of varicose veins is low progesterone, which has a major effect on the elasticity of the veins. So very important there. And then I would also say toxin exposure, right? If you have lots of estrogens, if you're estrogen dominant from birth control pills or estrogen from meats or milks or soy, that could put you in more of a fat storing mode because these hormones produce more fat. And then guess what? Your fat also has an exocrine function in regards to producing estrogen. So the fatter you get, then the more fat you get, and the more estrogen your fat cells produce. It's this like downward spiral that just kind of is a positive feedback loop that gets worse and worse as you go along. So you really have to look at toxins in meat, pesticides, which are all hormone based, drugs that are going to have estrogens in it, birth control pills, etc., milks, plastics, eating your foods out of plastic, especially plastics that you're warming things up on or you're letting UV light hit. Definitely not a good thing out of the gates.
Yeah, well said on the thyroid.